Can anybody hear me? Addie, can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you? Wait, Mr. Witters, am I good? Oh, no.
You may be seating.
How you guys doing? Good. So my name is Bill Last. Hopefully this thing can support. Stay. My name is Bill Last. I'm going to talk to you guys about a pretty mature topic today. Okay, so I want to first start out with saying, at the end of this, if you have any questions, you got a great team here. So talk to your teachers, talk to the principals. Just let's make sure that we communicate that when you have any questions. So I'm going to speak about addiction. Many of you guys know what that term is. There's addiction to lots of things. I can be addicted to my phone, right? That's a big thing for kids today. I could be addicted a lot, but for me, it was addiction to drugs and alcohol. Go ahead and change slide. I like this verse in 1 Peter. Be sober-minded, be watchful. Your adversary, the devil, prowls around like a roaring lion, seeking someone to devour. And that's what addiction is. The devil likes to steal, kill, and destroy, right? And when you enter into being addicted to something, the devil has you, right? And it's like being in jail. Go ahead and switch. So you guys know Mrs. Last is my wife, right? And my daughter's a sophomore here, Lily. I had to get permission from Lily before I gave this speech and used the right pictures, right? You know, she had to let me know. Go ahead and switch. So I want to talk about growing up, because a lot of times addiction has this stigma that it only happens to people that are poor or whatever, right? That's so not true. I met someone in treatment that was so smart, he invented an algorithm and was hired by Apple right on the spot. I met pilots. I've met a lot of smart people. But growing up, I grew up in a Christian home. My parents are almost 50 years married. We went to a church called Immaculate Heart of Mary where I met Jen. Actually, used to take her home when I was 16. She was 14 from youth group. So I had a great family. They taught me about the Lord, all that. I loved playing baseball and football. So how did someone like me get introduced to substance? All of you at some point in your life is going to be tempted. You've probably already been tempted for other stuff, but you're going to be tempted. Someone's probably going to offer you a cigarette or something else. Well, for me, it was a freshman homecoming game, and it was marijuana. So I tried it. And what was different for me than a lot of other people is I couldn't get enough of it. So in order for me to feed my habit that I started, I ended up starting selling drugs as a freshman in high school. So much so that the SRO officer knew who I was. That's getting searched. My parents didn't know what to do. I was getting suspended. I was doing a lot of really bad things. And my parents, they went to church. They asked pastors this or that. And eventually they said, we have no other way to help build than call the police. So at 14 years old, they called the police and the cops came. And I'm like, they're not going to do anything. Well, they did. They arrested me. And I remember getting handcuffed and getting placed in the cop car. And here's my brother, who's 2 years younger than me, coming off the bus, seeing his older brother. But I tell you what, that was the best thing that's ever happened to me. I tell you, being in prison or jail, juvie, when you're 14 years old is a really scary place. And I remember trying to call my parents, but the problem was I owed drug dealers money, and they knew my phone number. It wasn't like today. Cell phones weren't a thing. So they were getting phone calls so much that they had to change their phone number. So I tried calling my best friend and said, hey, man, you got to get me out of here. And he said, what do you want me to do? And he hung up. And I was like, wow, that's a friend, right? No, not really. So I just had to wait it out. And I remember writing letters to my parents like, please, I'll do anything. So when they came, you know, imagine I'm 14, I'm connected to a chain gang going to court. I was like, I'll do anything. So when I got home, my parents, you know, I was into skateboarding, a lot of, you know, just not very respectful kid. And all I had left in my dresser was underwear and T-shirts. They said, we let you dress and do your thing. Now it's our turn, right? But it was better in jail. So fast forward, that straightened me out. Like addiction runs in families. It's genetic, right? So if someone in your family or you know about it, you're at risk. So I didn't want to be any part of that. So I started doing great. We had to move, go to another school. I had to totally uproot everything. My poor brother, who had friends, had to go to a different school. So I went and joined the Navy. Go ahead and change. The Navy was part of the best things in my whole life. I worked on the flight deck of a second largest ship. I was the LPO, leading petty officer, so I was in charge of 25 people, fueling aircraft. And I deployed right after 9/11. This is a really tough time in our country. And I remember on my second deployment, I had a shipmate come up to me and said, "Hey man, I got a problem with pills." And I didn't really know what to say. And I said, "Hey, just don't let it affect work." Found out 3 years later he died from an overdose. And he was asking for help, right? And I could have helped him. I could have said, "Okay, let's get you help." I had to forgive myself for that. But maybe that's why I went down this road. I don't know. I think God's trying to teach us something. And everything bad, there's good from it. So when you cross the Atlantic into the Mediterranean, it gets really rough. So rough. I mean, I'm on a ship that's 844 feet that I have to wear a seatbelt when I go to bed so I don't roll out. I loved it. It's like being rocked by your mom. But my crew was, when we had 46 helicopters, 6 jets in the morning when we're running missions, everybody's fueling something. The tractor needed to be fueled, so I said I can take care of it on my own. I was reaching for the hose, which is down in the catwalk, like 6 feet down, and then another couple like 5 feet this way is overboard. And I lost my balance, and I stepped on the coaming to catch my balance, and my other left leg on the hose reel that wasn't locked, it rolled, and I tore a ligament, and I ended up falling into the catwalk. Like one more foot forward, you wouldn't even know who I am. There'd be no Lily, there'd be no Mrs. Last, there'd be nothing, because that's how close I was. Looking back on all my story, God, like a hair further, I'd be gone. So I remember they picked me up. It was one of those things where I've fallen and I can't get up. Literally, I could not get up. My leg was like, it swole so much I couldn't wear jeans. They had to ship me back home, but I was so disappointed because over there you depend on your brothers and sisters in the military for your life. And I had a crew, and I was responsible for them. I was responsible to their families, and it really let me down. But I remember the first time I took a pain pill, and I liked it. I liked how it made me feel. And I remember thinking back now, like the devil was right there, and he's like, "Got you again. I got you again." And fast forward, one pill, your tolerance with pain pills, it goes up quick. Turn to 2 pills, 3 pills. About 2007, I was taking about 35 to 40 pills a day. Literally. Like, I would wake up and I'd take a handful. Lunch break, take another handful. So I checked into treatment 2008, made it about 4 days, and I was like, "Get me out of here." I was sober for about 90 days. To get sober on your first try is really rare, but usually when you relapse, things get really worse. So I relapsed, and around 2009, I met my daughter's mom. And I was what I call a managing addict, where I could go to work and do things, but some people knew stuff was off. Why? Because I'd be in the middle of a sentence and I'd fall asleep, right? Or I'd be eating food at work and I'd fall asleep. So people knew something wasn't right. So I got in a relationship with her. I fell in love with her. Fast forward, 6 or 7 months, she gets pregnant. And a little bit after that, she's like, "I'm gone." And I really, really was messed up. I was like, "What's so wrong with me?" Looking back on that, that was a good decision for her. And we parent her. She's a great mom. We all work really well together, but that spiraled me out of control. So 30 pills went to 50. It got so bad that I was working in a refinery, mind you. Like a refinery where you bump into something, it can like mess up the whole city. And some of the pills I were taking, if you take a lot of them, lowers your threshold for seizures. And I remember one day, I have 50% custody of my infant daughter, and I had to take a shower. You don't just put her on the ground because they can crawl. She can crawl and she'd be gone. I put her in a little saucer, and I woke up to the fire department in my house. I was like, "What the heck?" I had blood on my face. I had no clue what happened. My roommate luckily was there, and he says, "Dude, you shook for 2 minutes straight. You had a grand mal seizure." He goes, "It was the scariest thing I've ever seen you go through." And what if I would have had my daughter in my hands, right? So when we get to the hospital, he's like, "Hey, are you taking this medication?" "Yeah." "How many are you taking?" "Just one." I'm not telling him I'm taking 40. I got to keep this. I'm master manipulator, master liar, right? Because if I would have told him the truth, he'd been like, "That's why you're having seizures." 3 weeks later, I'm in the refinery in a truck driving, and God's like, "I'm just going to wait I'm not going to let him have a seizure while he's in that car because I don't want innocent people to die because of him. And I got out of the car and I dropped, hit another one, another seizure. So fast forward to 2012, July 2nd, my coworkers were tired of babysitting me. They were like, hey, Bill, hey, Dan, hey, Joe, today you're going to babysit Bill. Tomorrow it'll be you, because they knew that I was a risk, and they got tired of taking care of me. So on July 2nd, they came to me and said, hey, you got a problem. And what did I say? No, you have the problem. Just mind your own business. I'm fine. I was on my way after work to go pick up my daughter, and I got in a car accident. To this day, I don't remember any of it. I remember the trooper's bill of his hat. How I didn't get arrested for a DUI, I have no clue, right? I was taking benzodiazepines. Two substances you can die from withdrawing on is alcohol and benzodiazepines. Opiates is like the worst ever. So I came back to work on July 3rd, and they started in on me, said, hey, what's wrong with your car? I had no clue what they were talking about. And they started in 3-4 hours in, they're arguing with me, and my buddy Chris, he said something that I'll never forget. You're going to die. What do you want us to tell your daughter about you? And something snapped. I was like, man, I cannot die and leave my daughter, who's 2 years old, to grow up on her own. She needs her dad. I want to go to the daddy-daughter dances. I want to walk her down the aisle. I couldn't accept the fact that I was probably weeks away from dying to leave her all by herself. How selfish of me, right? But that's what drugs do. Today when I wake up, I look at my wife and I'm like, such a blessing to be married. I think about my daughter. I say good morning. Back then when I woke up, the first thing I thought about was not my infant daughter. It was like, how many pills do I have? And do I have enough to get through today? And if I don't, how am I going to come up with money to get more? It costs a lot of money. Right? And thank goodness I never tried heroin, which is pretty much synthetic opiates is heroin, because I would have lost my job. That's the only reason I didn't. But that's what I thought about. Not my infant. I was in devil's jail. So I checked into treatment, and it was probably 14 days straight of the worst flu. I was hallucinating. I was shaking so bad from the withdrawals that I had rug burns all over my body from the sheets. I couldn't sleep. I was in there for about 40, 50 days, and then I got out, and I made it 90 days. And guess what? That he had such a hold. So I relapsed. And they have a policy at my work that if they come up to, because at that point, they know what I'm doing. I'm on random UAs. If they say, hey, Bill, you got a random UA, and I say, wait a minute, I'm still using, I get fired. So the day comes where I guess my boss was told, hey, Bill has a random today. Before he told me that, another chance by God, I went to HR and I said, hey, I'm using again, I gotta go back. They had to verify that my boss didn't say, hey, what's up, right? So I got to go back, and I was there for like another 60 days, another 2 weeks of just miserableness, sickness. The cravings were like, I would steal from my parents, my grandparents. It didn't matter, I'd steal from you. I'd manipulate whoever. I'd manipulate doctors, right? And then I remember Lily coming to visit me. She had no clue where I was at. But I remember being so happy to see her. All the patients were like, she's beautiful. And I remember when she left, I realized that was the first time I seen my daughter sober in her whole life. But I had to forgive myself eventually, right? Because if you don't forgive, think about it. If Jesus is sitting here right now, am I going to tell him that I can't forgive myself? What you did on the cross ain't good enough for me? What do you think Jesus is going to say? No, I did it for everybody, right? Because if I didn't forgive myself, I would still be using. And so I finally, and I met Jen at 36 days sober. She was like, you're not supposed to be in relationships, but God knew I needed a godly man. You can go ahead and switch the sides. I'm going to try to get through this quick. This tattoo means a lot to me. Death wrapped its ropes around me. The terrors of the grave overtook me. I saw only trouble and sorrow. Then I called on the name of the Lord. Please, Lord, save me. How kind the Lord is, how good he is, so merciful, this God of ours. The Lord protects those of childlike faith. I was facing death, and he saved me. Second time in treatment, I was done. And I called out to God, please, God. Because all this time, I could do it on my own. I don't need anybody's help. And I called out. The room got brighter. The shaking stopped, literally. The puking stopped. And I felt peace. And I knew. I invited him back in. And we're going to fight this battle. Go ahead and switch it. So here's some stats. Genetics account for 40 to 60% of a person's risk. So like trying a substance, when you go out and you drink out of a water hose, it could be a water hose or it can be a fire hydrant, right? It's a genetic thing. If it runs in your family, you could try that and it'd be the fire hose, just like it happened to me. If it's in your family, like immediate family, 2 to 4 times more likely that it can happen to you. It's not a guarantee. We have ways to fight this. Number one is don't try it. Trust me, you're not missing anything. Go ahead and switch it. Modeling behavior, growing up around substance use, that can normalize it. Trauma and mental health, protective factors, strong social support, education. This is education, coping, early intervention, ask for help. Go ahead and switch it. Among U.S. youth ages 12 to 17 and young adults ages 18 to 25, 27% reported using a prescription opiate in the previous year. Specifically, 21% for all ages 12 to 17 and 32% for ages 18 to 25. It's a big deal, right? And now we have fentanyl. And now we have something even worse than fentanyl. You could take a pill that you think is something that's not and be done. And your parents find you. That's what it is. So don't even try it. Switch it. So how did I fight this? I made sure God's number one. We educate ourselves. We know addiction doesn't discriminate yourself. Like you can be in the perfectest family and it can happen to you. Don't try it, you're not missing, and build your pack. Because you need people to get you up the mountain. So go ahead and switch it. About 6 months into my sobriety, I went to watch Jen and a Tough Mudder, and for about 4 hours, they had this half pipe. And they spray it with water and mud, and I sat there watching them use because some people would get up the half pipe, some had to go around it, right? And all out of the corner of my eye, I see the American flag, you can switch it, and I see this double amputee coming. And I'm like, there's no way he can get up that half pipe. There's no way. So I just sat there, watched, emotional, because I'm like, man, what's my excuse? He had a pack with him, and what they did, he got to the half pipe, he took off his legs, and his pack climbed up that mountain, and then he climbed up the back of him, and he stood on the top of the mountain. So yeah, that's what it was. So what that is, today you have mountains in front of you. You have schoolwork. You have conflict. You have choices about drugs. You have sport, anything, right? We have mountains that we face, but you have a pact here. You have a chapel. You have teachers, principals. You have your mom and dad. That's how you fight every day. And that's how I'm standing here, 14 years sober. So I really appreciate your time. I recommend that if you have any questions, this is a tough, mature subject. There's a lot of my story that the high school students heard that I didn't want to share with you guys because it's that horrific. And I am grateful. I look at this tattoo every day. You know why? Because I used to go to AA meetings, and spend all day there. And one day a guy came in. He was 30 years sober, 30 years, and he was drunk. So every day I have to fight that mountain. I have to do that because the devil's waiting. He's waiting for me to slip up. But guess what? God defeated him, right? He defeated him, kicked his rear. So all we have to do is trust God. Everything we have, everything we deal with in life, the answer is right here. Friendship issues, right? Lust, love, parents, everything. He gave us a manual. Use it. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Hey. Thank you. Thank you.
You wish to talk to someone today, if something is triggered, if you have questions or things that you want to know more about, just like Mr. Last said, please use the community, use your teachers.
Good.
Use your
Is that all right?
all year round, all day, all this week, and maybe your question doesn't even pop up today. Maybe it's weeks or months down the road. Please remember this chaplain and remember that your community is here for you, okay? Let's sing this chaplain the best that we know how. Please stand. DC, how are we called to love our God?